This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been way too freaking long. Welcome back to the Break the Bell Podcast live.
Hello, beautiful bell breakers. It has been forever.
It has been forever, and I am feeling it because nothing is set up right. Nothing is working right. I'm plugging my computer in as we speak. My computer decided to do, probably 2 or 3 days ago, decided to just kind of factory reset itself.
Oh, nice.
I kept all the files, but nothing else, so I forgot about that until I'm like, I'm really running late. My kid had a baseball game. I was like, let's get this going. And I'm like, shit, nothing's anywhere.
Yeah.
Nothing's logged in. None of my logins were saved. My Stream Deck was just gone. There was nothing. So I'm just like playing this from VLC Media Player.
Okay.
I mean, you got to wing it sometimes.
Exactly.
Especially when you haven't been here in 2-3 weeks. It's like, all right, let's just let everything go to hell just to make up for it. So. Oh, yeah, and my right side light isn't working now.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
The outlets on my thing just died, and so I only have one light, and it's just... We're going to get through this.
That's how the pros become the pros, man.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't had time to really... I have half of the podcast wrote. The other half, I'm like, well, I got some articles we'll just talk about.
We'll wing it.
Yeah, my kid, like I said, had a baseball game I forgot about, and I was like, hey, we skipped 2 weeks. I can't really skip another week.
Right.
We'll just lose everybody. We probably already did, but we're here. That's what matters.
No, I think they've been waiting in quiet anticipation.
I think so, too. They're like, come back to us. What is happening? Something else is playing. Oh, the next track decided to play. We're here. We are. I mean, there's stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
There's stuff.
That's a crap.
There are a lot of shit. It feels like it's 2020 again because we're talking about Donald Trump being indicted and COVID-19. Is this freaking 2020? What is happening?
Yeah, and it's funny because have you looked at any of the Republican people running for president this year? A lot of old names. Chris Christie.
Oh wow! Good God, that fat ass.
Right?
That
yeah.
Meat sweat.
Nikki
fat
Haley.
guy.
Yeah, I know. Right? When I saw his name, I'm like, wait. Wasn't he out last time? Didn't they decide he was a piece of shit?
Yeah, but the thing is, they're like, well, maybe people will forget that he was a piece of shit last time, and it'll be fine to run him again this time.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I mean, I think Donald Trump has a better shot from prison than anybody that they're putting up.
Well, and that's funny you should say that because I saw that he's been soaring through the polls.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
since they did the indictment.
Like I said, we'll talk about the indictment here first, probably. Basically, I've titled this, Does the Truth Ever Come Out? Because the answer is probably not.
Right.
So spoiler alert, it's probably never going to come out. But we are talking about the Trump indictment. There's a lot of, there's a lot more to that. Have you read into it much?
Yeah.
There's more to that than what we originally thought. We're like, it wasn't as bad as they're saying. It sounds pretty shitty.
Right. They make it sound really bad.
It sounds pretty
37 felony accounts of obstruction.
Well, he had 13,000 documents. He had we talk shit about Biden when he had documents stashed out by his Corvette.
Yeah, right.
Apparently Trump had documents stashed in his shower.
Oh, okay.
Not only was it bathroom reading material, but he had some stashed in his in the shower.
Interesting.
Does he shower with them, or does he just not shower?
When he's sitting on the toilet and he's tweeting, then he'll just reach over, grab a classified document, and
chucks it in the shower.
Yeah, uses his toilet paper.
I don't know. I mean, it's just freaking bizarre. And then we're also going to talk about some new information that just came out about COVID-19. Shocking. You never would have guessed that this was coming. Never would have suspected this, that the coronavirus, the COVID-19 virus, was potentially made in a man-made lab and leaked out of the lab. Possibly intentionally, possibly not intentionally. But you never. No. I mean, you remember we speculated on this and we got booted from YouTube a couple times.
Fauci said that wasn't possible.
Well, Fauci's retired now.
So now it's coming out.
Now we can talk about this shit. So we're going to get into all that stuff. We got to get through. This might be a short episode. Every time I say that, it ends up being a really long episode.
Longer.
We are starting late, so I'd like to power through this. Make sure you check us out all over the social medias. We have been kind of dark on social media. I mean, it's been busy summer.
It's been very busy. I mean, for both of us.
This is the busiest fucking summer I've ever had.
We were like trying to plan a weekend we could do something together, and it's like we're like maybe possibly August. We're not sure.
What does October look like for your summer? I mean, I'm now DJing weddings so like all my weekends are shot. Trying to balance a podcast. My kid has baseball, which takes up a lot of days, and work and all this stuff. And you decide to go on vacation for like 16 weeks. And
I know. It was needed.
And are you refreshed at least?
No. I walked into a shit show today and I had to kick some asses.
Well, like I would start to say, make sure you check us out all over social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're all over at the handle Break the Bell Pod. Check us out, like, subscribe, share, all the shit that we tell you to do every week, except last week and the week before because we weren't here. But every other week we tell you that. So if you're not doing it, do it. If you are doing it, great.
Yes.
Now reach out to those assholes that aren't doing it and get them to do it too, and we'll all be on the same page and we'll be good.
Yes.
I think I'm just going to get right into it. We don't need a lot of pre-show banter because we need to get going.
Yeah, we're out of practice. We need to get into it.
We're out of practice. Nothing is working. So let's just roll with this and see what happens. You get to experience this with me. If it's frustrating for you, just imagine how frustrating it is for me. And Bill is over there like, it's whatever. I don't give a fuck. But it is frustrating for me.
I can tell. The big veins popping out of your forehead.
No, that's actually the little vein. The big vein's not out yet. We're going to kick this intro video. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the shit that's going on right now. So we'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What are you saying?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What did you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You're talking to me. You're talking to me.
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
We're back. This was the first song I could pull up in the short span we had.
You know, it works. I always liked it.
I always did too, but it was always our like something bad's about to happen music.
Well,
And
maybe it is.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe this Trump indictment is the signs of the end of the age.
That could be.
I don't know.
I see people calling for civil war.
I mean, I've been seeing that for
I know the
years
last
now.
5 years.
Yeah, but do you think something like J6 type event's going to come out of this? Because I did see that the FBI was warning just to keep watch out for terrorists
They always
plotting
do that,
because of his arraignment at the time of his
They're-
arraignment. Do you
they're-
think something's going to happen?
Their mouth is watering, just hoping for something like that.
You see an FBI red false flag thing like
absolutely.
J6 coming up?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, before we get into this, I did see an update on J6. Speaking of,
Oh, okay.
rewind back to.
I didn't know that was still we were still talking about that.
Well, apparently, because we all know the FBI was heavily involved.
Oh fuck yeah!
We all know that they were instigating shit. Apparently, there's video footage that they were the police officers were trying to keep hidden. The DC Police Department. There are plainclothes DC cops that are in the crowd that are like yelling, "Go, go!" It's their own GoPro footage that that is out there now. That it's police officers that are instigating. They're in plain clothes, but they're like with the protesters, and they're like helping them over the
Wow.
walls and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like, at what point are we allowed to say that this was a false flag type shit that was planned out, plotted out, or at least very heavily influenced by the FBI and the DC Police Department, and who knows who else?
All right.
But that's for another time, or never. Hopefully, we don't ever have to talk about that. I'm like really cold. It is summertime.
You're
It's
cold?
like, it's like 70 degrees.
I know. I got back from vacation. I'm like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it was like 98 degrees while you were gone, and then you brought cold back with you.
That figures.
So let's kill the music. Let's talk about this Trump indictment.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about will the truth come out ever? So I guess, I mean, we got this Trump indictment thing, and they would like us to believe that the truth is coming out through this. And I mean, you should see, like, people are just on both sides. Like, you got the right that's just like, this is political whatever.
Yeah, political assassination.
What's really funny is I did see an article that's like 50% of Americans think that Trump being indicted is right, but they also believe that it was politically motivated. It's like,
right, yeah.
that you should question your morals if you think it's politically motivated, but it was right.
Yeah,
because
those are the same group that they feel like Trump is the akin to Hitler.
Well, yeah, everything that we don't like these days is
and
akin
it's
to
like,
Hitler.
oh well, he's got to be taken down. So yeah, it's not right, but it has to be done.
So this is the second time Donald Trump's been indicted in the last 6 months now.
Yeah,
the first one was
Even
the
3
Stormy
months.
Daniels shit, where and we covered that, where apparently they used freaking campaign funds to pay off a stripper to not talk, and she's just like, and he forgot to sign the document, so she's like, well, I get my money and I get to talk and write a book about this and all this jazz. And it was the first time in history that a former president was indicted on criminal charges, and it just happened to be like a fucking stripper.
Right.
It's like, of all the things that this paying off
sign a piece of paper.
Paying off a stripper was the one thing to go. This time, he has been indicted under the Espionage Act.
Yeah, sounds bad.
I mean,
considering all the collusion,
the Russian collusion.
Yes, that was coming up against him. That has been proven false.
Yeah, but we still believe it though, right? Russian collusion. Collusion.
No, that was the show that got me pissed off.
Which one?
Yes, recently the last one.
Yeah, right. So this time Trump has been charged with 37 counts under the Espionage Act.
That's a lot.
It's like they're throwing everything, fucking book at him to see if it sticks. And like I said, it sounds pretty damning, if I might say so. But I don't know. Let's just read, and then we will decide if we think that this will stick, or if we think that he should be charged under the stuff, because some of the stuff's really, at the very least, really retarded.
But it makes you and it makes you wonder, like, how many of the documents are actually legitimate, or were they like, isn't this DVD supposed to be in the theater room of the
they
White
said
House?
he had 13,000 documents with him. There was like 300 that were classified or something like that. So the 13,000, not that big of a deal. The 300, maybe a big deal.
Maybe.
So let's read this. This is from CNBC. It says, Trump charged with 37 counts in classified documents case, says the indictment. So I'm guessing this will get into the meat and potatoes. Again, I didn't really prepare for this, so we'll see what happens. It says a 37-count criminal indictment against Donald Trump was unsealed Friday, revealing allegations that the former president willfully retained hundreds of classified government records and conspired to prevent their return to U.S. officials. Now, I got to remember, we said we went through the list of every president that's kind of retained classified documents or mishandled classified documents. You had Hillary Clinton in her email server. You had Joe Biden and his freaking Corvette in the garage, and his kid just freaking romping on top of them with his cocaine and strippers and Parmesan cheese. And Obama supposedly retained like millions, but he put them in his own library, which is under the control of the archive. So that one's fine. Now, every one of these obviously is different from Donald Trump's, because that's what they say. They're like, why? How many articles have you seen that's like,
they all point
why Hillary Clinton's is different from Donald Trump's? The one that I read was so funny because it's like, hers weren't necessarily classified except for 3. And but there was some that she spoke about classified information on, but it wasn't classified documents. So she at least was smart enough to talk. This is literally what they said. She was intelligent enough to talk around the classified, like kind of a workaround. So that makes it better because she knew the workaround.
Yeah, right. She knew the legal terminology.
Yeah. So she's like, I'm not allowed to tell you this, but and she'd probably give like code words or something. And then have like a little menu. Well, it wasn't classified documents.
Probably, you may not remember this, but there is In Living Color. Did you ever watch that show with the Wayans brothers?
Long ass time
So
ago.
there was a skit they would do, and there was this guy who had just come out of prison, and he always tried to talk with really big words that made no sense. And so he'd be like, the simplification of the classification.
It sounds like the Wayans brothers.
Yes, but it sounded like something Hillary would want to do.
Yes. The charging document, which alleges Trump kept records containing national defense information at his Florida home after leaving the White House, was made public a day after a grand jury in U.S. District Court in Miami voted to indict him. Among other allegations, the indictment said that Trump showed classified documents to other people in the summer of 2021 after leaving office in January that year. This is where he's kind of retarded.
Right.
Because one was like a reporter or like a journalist or something.
Well, I'm just like, check this out.
Well, they have audio. I don't know how they got audio coverage of this, unless the reporter just like
wearing a wire,
or maybe they're just like, now tell me about. Yeah. And he's like, well, I got all this classified information. You're not supposed to see it, but I have it, and I could declassify this at any point, but for some reason I didn't, because I don't have to, because I'm I'm going to be president again, so everything will be fine. And
that sounds like a Donald Trump thing.
Yeah, and in the recording, it sounds like it's vague whether or not he was showing them it, but he was like, see, I got this classified. So they can't necessarily prove that the person visually saw it, but they can't prove that he didn't, because it's super vague.
Right. It's just audio.
Yeah, it's just audio, so they can't see if they're like, oh yeah, that is classified information.
Right.
But
it could have been a news article on something, and
but in front of a jury, it's gonna probably hold weight, because he's an idiot. Go ahead.
But it would have to be purely jury, because I can't imagine them using evidence of someone being recorded without their permission. I mean, that's not really admissible.
But again, was it like a journalist that's like, all right, let's talk about the documents, and and he's just like, well, I got classified documents right here. See the classified documents. I mean, it's Donald Trump.
Yeah, you're right. His ego kind of kills him.
Let's see. Among other allegations, the indictment says Trump showed classified documents to other people in the summer 21. That's what we read. One of the documents was a plan of attack that he told a publisher and a writer at his Bedminster, New Jersey golf club was prepared by the Pentagon. What's he doing with this plan of attack at a golf club?
Like in his back pocket.
Yeah, it's like, look, I gotta just keep it here, just in case.
Just in case I have to go into action.
Just in case I get the call from the people to go to war, I gotta have the battle plan.
You're absolutely right in the fact that he expected to be president again, probably quicker than the election would allow.
Yeah,
he probably thought something was going to happen.
Oh, he did,
and so he figured, there's no sense in giving this
told
stuff
me
back.
that I would be president by this time, so that's why I keep this plan on me just in case. He says, "No, I can't. This is still a secret." So it's not like he's just like, I didn't know that was secret. He's like, this is top secret. I can't show you this. I'm not allowed to show you this. This is top secret. A month or so later at Bedminster, Trump showed again at his golf at a golf club. Trump showed a representative of a political action committee a classified map related to a military operation and told the man he should not be showing it to the representative and that the representative should not get too close. So maybe it's just like, look, I got a map here. Whoa, stay back there. This is classified. But
He
I
sounds
do
like
have
a kid who caught like a frog.
right.
I'm not supposed to have this in school, but check it out.
Right. It's just like, well, it's kind of like, remember that the kid that had the online. What was that story?
Oh yeah. The original G.
Yeah, the OG.
Yeah.
What was
He
that?
was
Oh
the-
yeah, that doc leak.
Yeah.
The Pentagon doc leak where he's just
Mhm.
like, I'm a badass. I've got this doc and these
Yeah.
docs and I can. That sounds like the same kind of
It-
mentality.
you know,
It's like,
it does, which is really sad.
you think he's Donald Trump's the OG? Maybe it's the same guy. Did you
It
ever think
could
about
be.
that?
It could be
Also charged in the indictment was Trump's valet,
his
Wal-
valet.
his valet driver, Walter Nada, who faces several of the same charges as his boss, with whom he allegedly conspired to keep classified records and hide them from a federal grand jury.
He's like, look, man, I just got
I
the
just-
ball that he hit. That's all. I was just there.
I was just driving the fucking
Yeah,
car.
exactly.
He's like, I've got classified documents in the trunk. He's like, what? He's
Yeah.
like, just drive. It's like, why the fuck do you got these in the trunk?
Yeah.
Just
Just
drive.
drive, nada. Just drive.
Just drive to the. I'm just gonna throw them in the lake. Actually, can you pick those up? My back's a little sore. Can you throw those in the lake for
Yeah.
me? Also, let's see. The indictment said Trump was personally involved in packing up boxes of documents as he prepared to vacate. I don't believe that for a second. That
No,
man has
no.
never packed
I was
anything in
gonna
his
say
life.
you can tell by his little orange hands. He does
That
not
man
pack
does not
boxes.
pack files in his own
Yeah.
box. He's not personally involved. He might have been personally involved. Like, yeah, take those.
Yeah.
Yeah, take.
No,
I don't care. Just take them.
That one needs to go in that box.
That's mine. That's mine. That's mine.
Write my name
They
on
can
that one.
keep that one.
Yeah.
Hey, hang on a second. Let me wipe my ass with that. But that one's mine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're in his bathroom. Did you ever think about that?
That's exactly what I was
He's like,
thinking.
I was gonna give them back.
Yeah.
After I wipe my ass with
He
them.
used to wipe his ass with $100 bills, and he moved on to classified documents.
Yes. The FBI's raid of Mar-a-Lago last August discovered hundreds of classified documents, apparently thousands, which Trump had failed to turn over U.S. officials to U.S. officials after they spent a year or so trying to recover them. The indictment says Trump, as president, had placed in cardboard boxes, no, he didn't, documents containing information about defense and weapons capabilities of the United States and foreign countries, U.S. nuclear programs, and potential vulnerabilities of the United States and its allies to military attack. Do you think 13,000 documents, all right?
Yeah.
Do you think Donald Trump was like going through them? He's like, yeah, keep this. Yeah, keep that. No, throw that one. Or was it just like, those are mine. Just take all those boxes and go.
Yeah. Just put 'em
Maybe
in the
he
shower.
didn't know they were I mean, maybe he didn't know even what was in it. He's
Yeah.
just like, just take all the. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck them all. Just take it.
Yeah.
You know, just like
Yeah,
I'll
they're
stick it to
mine.
them.
Just put them in the shower.
Obviously, I can't imagine that he sifted through 13,000
No,
documents.
there's no fucking way.
I don't think he sifted through 13,000 documents in his 4 years as president.
He doesn't have the patience to read his own tweets.
That's true. When he left the White House, Trump ordered the scores of such boxes to be shipped to Mar-a-Lago, where they were stored in a ballroom, a bathroom, a shower, and office space, along with his bedroom and a storage room. He's like, I don't know where to put all this stuff. Just find places to put them.
I feel like that's a making of like a Clue game.
Does he not like reside there? Because where does he sleep? Where does he?
Yeah,
Maybe. The guy probably doesn't bathe,
you know he doesn't.
but I don't know.
He's always crashing at someone else's house.
It sounds kind of made up, but
Then you think about who Donald Trump
that's
is.
what I like. Why is it so hard to believe it, but so difficult to believe at the same time? Like
Right.
it's so hard to believe, but then it's so knowing Donald Trump, it's actually kind of easy
Yeah,
to believe.
yeah.
It's like nobody would be that dumb except maybe Donald Trump.
Yes, yeah, and it's his ego. He thinks he is bigger than it, so he doesn't need to worry about it.
Right. On December 7th, 2021, Nada, the valet, found several of Trump's boxes fallen and their contents spilled on the floor of the storage room, including a document that said secret, REL, probably related to USA FVEY. What does FVEY stand for? I don't know. Which denoted that the information in the document was released only to Five Eyes Intelligence. So FVEY, Five Eyes.
Yeah.
Alliance consisting of Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and the United States. During the time Trump had the documents at Mar-a-Lago, during that time, his club hosted more than 150 social events, which drew tens of thousands of guests. Do you think those guests were invited into his personal residence, though?
No.
That means literally jack shit.
Right.
Like Hunter Biden, you think he was throwing parties in the house that
Yes.
like where they had access to snort coke off whatever they wanted to?
Absolutely.
To say, well, during that time, his entire resort hosted a bunch of guests,
Right.
so they had that doesn't mean they
That
have
doesn't mean
access
anything.
to
Exactly.
anything.
There's the resort and there's his private residence.
I mean, I'm sure he had some hookers back.
Oh, you know he did.
But that's literally just a moot point. It's they're trying to be like, well, anybody could have. No, that's not how this works. Department of Justice Special Counsel Jack Smith, who led the probe of Trump, in a televised statement Friday, said, "We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone
Except for
Joe Biden, Hillary
And Hunter
Clinton, Barack
Biden,
Obama,
Bill Clinton,
Bill Clinton,
George Bush,
George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush.
Bush.
The list goes on and on, but there's
Right.
one set of laws.
Yeah.
They apply to everyone.
But mostly Trump.
Our laws that protect national defense information are critical to the safety and security of the United States, and they must be enforced this time.
Yeah.
Violations of these laws put our country at risk every time, but this time more.
Yeah. Right.
The hell's that? Special counsel is continuing to oversee a separate criminal investigation of Trump into his efforts to overturn the loss to President Joe Biden in the 2020 election. We don't need all that backstory.
We already know that.
What do you think so far?
I mean, it still doesn't sound any worse than what Biden or Hillary had going on still.
But it's different.
Right,
Bill,
because
it's
it's Donald
different.
Trump,
It's Donald Trump.
who is a
And he
great threat to
intentionally did it.
democracy.
Hillary Clinton. Oh, the other part where they're like, well, it's totally different because in the case where Hillary Clinton deleted thousands of emails, her lawyer assured us that those were only personal emails.
Oh.
Her lawyer was
Good,
okay.
good,
So
good.
her lawyer pointed out these were all
Yeah.
personal emails. Didn't they piece together some of those? And they're like, well, that had some classified info.
Absolutely,
That-
they did.
So these articles are such bullshit because it's like, it's totally different because her lawyer said so. Well, this is her fucking lawyer. Of
Yeah.
course he said. What do you think Donald Trump's lawyer is saying right now?
Right.
He didn't know about it. Oh, they're
Yeah.
fine. He declassified it. He turned the shower on and soaked them, so nobody's going to see any.
Right. The bathroom was locked. Nobody was getting there. Well, but he had him at his residence and hosted 150 some gatherings.
Says he and Nada each face. Why isn't the article? I had it up and then it disappeared. He and Nada, the valet, each face a maximum of possible sentences of 20 years in prison if convicted of the most serious charges, which are conspiracy to obstruct justice and counts related to withholding and concealing government records. That's a lot of years. I know rapists that get less time
Yeah, right.
than that.
Yeah.
31 of the counts accuse Trump of willful retention of national defense information. He's also charged with conspiracy to obstruct justice, withholding a document or record, corruptly concealing a document or record, concealing a document in federal investigation, scheme to conceal, and false statements and representation.
Isn't scheming to conceal and concealing kind of the same thing?
No, one is actually doing it. One is planning to do it. So
gotcha.
if the
Okay.
actually doing it doesn't stick, they can be like, well, let's move on to the next.
The scheming.
Yeah, they throw everything at it. So if the higher charges don't
Yeah.
stick, maybe they'll get some of the lower charges.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like murder plus assault with a deadly.
Yeah.
Well, obviously there was assault with a deadly weapon
Right.
if there was a murder.
Yeah.
But if the murder doesn't stick, maybe we'll still get the assault with a deadly weapon.
It's funny because all politicians do shady shit. This is the only politician they're actually going after.
Well, yeah. But it's funny because do you think this will open a door?
No.
Probably not. But you think
No.
they'd
Should it?
at
Yes.
least have the question. They're like, should we go after
Yeah.
this? Well, maybe we should burn all our secret documents first
Right.
before we pursue this.
No.
Trump
They're kicking back and they're toasting champagne and laughing.
Trump was put under criminal investigation in spring of 22 after the FBI was notified that classified documents were found in 15 boxes of government records he gave to the National Records and Archive Administration after months of effort by the NARA to recover documents that agency believed were missing. By law, presidents must give the National Archives all government records when they leave office. The indictment says as he departed the White House, Trump caused scores of boxes, many of which contain classified documents, to be transported to Mar-a-Lago Club in Palm Beach, Florida, where he maintained his residence. Trump was not authorized to possess or retain classified documents. Trump later suggested to one of his lawyers that the attorney lied to that his attorney should lie to the FBI and a grand jury by saying he did not have the documents. And he directed Nato to move boxes of documents to conceal them from Trump's own lawyer, the FBI and grand jury alleges. The indictment alleged that Trump suggested to his lawyer that the attorney hide or destroy documents and that Trump gave the FBI and the grand jury only some of the documents.
So did his lawyer tell them this?
Yeah, because that should be lawyer-client confidentiality.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
All that, unless they secretly recorded it, which is illegal.
Right.
So how do they know that
But
he suggested this to his lawyer?
But we already know that they had wiretaps all over Trump.
But that's still
I agree.
lawyer-client confidentiality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that's something that Trump is trying to argue.
Well, I would too. It's like, you can't admit anything that I told my lawyer, and I only spoke to my lawyer about this. And the lawyer's like, he told me everything. And they're like, it's like, I can't say anything.
And I'll start spilling it if I don't have to go to prison.
Yeah, how does that work?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole attorney-client privilege thing kind of is like, if you decide this is too shady for me, I'm leaving this, you still can't go and just be like, this guy told me this and this and this and this.
Yeah, you're already signed. You've already done the confidentiality part of it.
Yeah. So how did they get this information? That should be speculative to me too.
So this is something I had read earlier today from Occupy Democrats. It says, breaking, reporters drop bombshell reveal that indicted traitor Donald Trump's legal team is planning to demand that Trump appointed a Florida judge, Eileen Cannon, dismiss key evidence that incriminates Trump in special counsel Jack Smith's case against Trump. But it gets worse. Trump's lawyers will claim that the incriminating notes that were kept by Trump's attorney, Evan Cochran, in which Trump plots to lie to federal investigators about how much classified intelligence he had and even to destroy evidence, are covered by attorney-client privilege.
They are!
And must be thrown out and not shown to the jury.
They are covered under attorney-client privilege.
Without these key pieces of evidence and without Cochran being able to testify against Trump, the obstruction of justice case against Trump, which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years, will become much weaker and possibly thrown out.
Good.
So
if you don't have, I mean, that goes back to, we have laws and they apply to everyone. You guys made the attorney-client privilege law.
Right.
I didn't make it, but I sure as hell would abuse the shit out of it if it came down to. I mean, just because Trump suggested something to us, Trump's a dumbass. He probably made lots of suggestions. Be like, well, can't we just throw him away? Well, no, that would be obstruction of justice. They immediately could be like, well, he plotted, because all they said was he plotted. He suggests. I mean, it's a fucking suggestion. I mean, how many murders do you know that tell their lawyers, well, can't we just hide the body or something?
Yeah.
Can't we just tell them we didn't do it?
How many American politicians have probably said that too?
Isn't every freaking...
Can't we just make it a suicide?
Yeah, isn't every like criminal defense lawyer, and aren't they plotting to pretty much obstruct justice?
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
basically.
It's like, don't tell me anything.
Yeah.
Isn't that obstruction of justice?
Yeah.
Like, all right, tell me everything. And well, we're gonna plead this down to insanity or something.
But no prosecutor is like, well, I'd like to call the counsel or the defense attorney on the
give me your
stand.
notes. Give me your notes right now. Like, let me see your notes. Oh, isn't this obstruction of justice right here?
Did your client tell you that they had killed the person?
Well,
I can't really say that, counselor.
That's obstruction of justice.
Right, absolutely.
Like you're obstructing the justice right now. Everything that he told his lawyer, should be covered
Confidential.
under
Yeah.
attorney-client privilege. That goes back to what was his old? Was it Cohen, his old lawyer, that just
Yeah.
ratted out all the Stormy Daniels shit?
yeah.
It's like, dude,
Yeah.
this guy needs to pick his fucking lawyers better.
Fuck
Good
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
It's like every lawyer that he has, he fires and they roll on him
Yeah.
as soon as the
What'd you
heat goes
see?
on.
He just let go of 2 more attorneys
Great.
just after they released the indictment.
Stop firing your lawyer. Get better. Get
Right.
freaking OJ's lawyer. Where's that
Right?
guy
He
at?
died.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, OJ Simpson actually gave Donald Trump some advice.
Did he really?
Yeah, he came out and he's like, stop talking.
Did he really?
Don't say, yeah, he did. He's like,
That's funny.
don't say anything.
Yeah.
Just stop fucking. For the love of God, man, stop talking. Because, OJ was a narcissist too.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And
Yeah.
all it,
That's
his
what
lawyers are
Trump
probably
should
just
do.
like, shut the fuck up.
Trump should be like, I don't know who put these documents in my house, but I will find them. I will catch them and I will bring them to justice.
The glove don't fit. You must. That doesn't apply here, sir.
If the document don't, never mind.
Yeah, he takes it to the box and tries to put it in like an angle, like a
Yeah.
pizza box in a garbage can. It's like, if the doc don't fit, you must. It's like, shut the fuck up. So you brought up the judge in the case.
Yeah.
Do you hear who the judge was?
Yes.
Everybody's up in arms.
Yeah.
This Judge Cannon.
Yeah. Trump
Apparently
appointed.
a Trump-appointed judge.
Yes.
And leftists are like, oh my God, he's going to get. Of
When
course.
has that ever meant anything?
Well, the thing is, they're like up in arms over this judge because it was a Trump appointee.
Yeah.
It was the luck of his draw.
Right.
It was like at random came back. Can you imagine if it at random came back around to like some leftist hardcore, like
yeah.
Trump hating judge? They'd be like, yeah, let's
Yeah,
get him.
Right. This person.
Nobody cares about the
everything.
biasness
No.
of it then.
And again, when has that ever worked for him? I mean, look at the judges he's appointed in the Supreme Court. They've gone against pretty much everything he's ever tried
It's
to
like,
put up there.
I put you here. I need you to pass this law. And they're like, we don't pass laws. Well, I need you to say that
Yeah.
this is the law. No, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
I am Donald Trump,
Yeah.
and the immigrants can't come. And it's like,
Yeah.
you don't got any weight to
Fine.
hold.
I'll
It's
just
like,
appoint someone else. Sir, you can't do that.
You're making our job too easy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, I'm just here to tell you that this is right and you should pass this. And they're like, sorry, no wait there. Because wasn't it Brett Kavanaugh that like
Yeah.
voted one of his immigration
Yeah.
laws out? And he's just like,
Yeah.
that scheming traitor.
Yeah.
He did rape that woman. Because they were like, you got no weight.
Yeah.
Agree with what you're saying, but there's no weight to hold it.
Yeah.
So come back with something,
Right.
and we'll talk. Who is Judge Cannon? Critics pounce after Trump appointee is assigned to the classified docs case. This is from Fox News. Let's see. It says federal district court judge Eileen M. Cannon, a Trump appointee who sits in the Southern District of Florida, was assigned to oversee the criminal case against the former president and Republican presidential candidate. Now, here's the problem. If you indict a former president, there's a 50-50 chance that a Trump or that their appointed judge is going to oversee
Right.
the criminal complaint. Maybe not 50-50, but
Yeah.
there's a good chance.
There's a chance.
that's
Yeah.
going to come up because he appointed judges.
Right.
You indicted him
Yeah.
after he appointed judges. So, I mean, is she supposed to recuse herself because she was an
Right.
appointed
Yeah. No.
a Trump appointed judge?
That doesn't
I don't
mean
think
anything.
no, that's not how this works.
If anything, I would think she would want to prove that she's not in the bag for him.
So does that mean that the Supreme Court, every president, like all the ones that were appointed by that president, if a federal case comes up, which all of them are federal, if something comes up that involves the federal government or involves a law that he's trying to pass, are they supposed to just sit out? We got to sit this one out because he appointed us.
I'm sure depending on the side, they would say yes.
It's not how this works, guys. Federal District Court Judge Eileen M. Cannon, a Trump appointee who sits in the Southern District, was assigned to oversee the criminal case against Trump and his handling of classified docs at Mar-a-Lago. Cannon's assignment drew controversy because of her ruling in an earlier lawsuit in the Southern District of Florida, which Trump filed 2 weeks after the Federal Bureau of Investigations or the FBI. They have to tell us that that's
Sure.
the FBI.
Sure.
Raid at his Mar-a-Lago residence on the island of Palm Beach, August 8th. In September, Cannon ruled in Trump's favor that an independent special master be appointed to review the records seized by the FBI after it was revealed that his medical and tax records and other personal information, in addition to over 300 classified documents and thousands of other records, had been confiscated by the government. Cannon also ordered the DOJ to stop its own review of the material pending completion of the special master's investigation. Isn't the special master supposed to be like, hey, this is a non-biased person coming in here? I mean, they've assigned special investigators in all of Trump's other rulings, and she's like, let's just do this again. And they're like, no, you can't do that this time.
Yeah.
It was
You gotta
fine all
move
the other
now.
times.
Yeah.
The move outraged liberals, and some accused Cannon of giving Trump special treatment. A Trump judge delivers for Trump in a big way, disgraced former CBS anchor Dan Rather tweeted at the time. Delays now could lead to further chaos and mischief on his part. Mischief. A big win for Trump, a big loss for accountability. News organizations should dive deep into what Trump did to politicize the federal judiciary. By appointing judges, his job, his fucking job lined out in the Constitution to appoint.
But he's politicizing it
by appointing those judges, and
which
they
is
just
his
happened to land.
Frickin' job.
Yeah. Federal prosecutors argued at the time that appointing a special master would delay their investigation, that Trump didn't have standing for his request, and that he didn't have the right to possess classified documents. On September 15th, Cannon appointed a special master in the case after Trump and the DOJ agreed to choose Reagan appointee Raymond Dearie. That's not good enough either.
Right.
The former chief judge of the court in the Eastern District of New York. The DOJ appealed the next day, which was granted several days later by the Atlanta-based U.S. Court of Appeals. The DOJ was allowed to continue its investigation, and Dearie was blocked from accessing them. On December 1st, the appeal was granted, reversing Cannon's order. This is a smackdown, Palm Beach attorney Dave Aroberg said at the time. It says Judge Cannon should never have exercised jurisdiction over this matter. This was an MSNBC reporter.
Of course.
Because they appealed and the appellate judge was like, no, go ahead with it.
Yeah.
They're like, well, this just shows that she should have never had jurisdiction in this. And so they're going to use comments like that to be like, well, MSNBC anchor said she shouldn't have jurisdiction in this. So why are we appointing her
We're gonna go
in the indictment? Then it goes on to talk about the 37 freaking counts and all that freaking shit. It says, New York Times reported Friday that Cannon was nominated by Trump in 2020, had been assigned to the case. The chief clerk of court said the assignment was random and that normal procedures were followed. The clerk also confirmed that the assignment is permanent unless Cannon recuses herself. Slate senior writer Mark Joseph Stern fretted that Cannon's appointment can absolutely sink the DOJ's prosecution. They have zero trust in the court systems then. If you can't trust that an appointed judge is going to do her fucking job,
right,
and that this is going to sink the whole case because of this judge. Now, like, what can we stand on in the court system? Like, I don't have much faith in the court system.
Well, no, but
this is what they say is the law.
Right.
This is how we do it. Yeah, I haven't seen anybody go in and like try to change that part of the law and say, they probably will now. They're going to be like, we need to amend the Constitution.
Right. But this whole thing is it just makes the whole legal system look like a fucking joke, right? I mean, what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, right? The same things that Trump is being nailed for, they're not going after Biden for.
No.
And if it was reversed, they would absolutely make sure Biden got the master.
Oh yeah,
that
was on his
rather
side.
than Trump. So I mean, the whole thing is a fucking joke, and it makes the whole court system look like a fucking joke.
Yeah, it's like, well, this is just sinks their chances. It's excellent news for Donald Trump. This is just the luck of the hat, man.
Yeah, but people on the left, the anti-Trumpers, are going to be like, this is a travesty. This is a joke of justice, and the people on Trump's team are like, well, at least he's got something.
This is bad news for everyone except Trump, tweeted former Justice Department Inspector General Michael Bromwich. For a case as important as this one, it's critical to have a judge who is experienced, smart, and impartial. Judge Cannon fails on each of these dimensions. Wow.
Wow, she's not smart,
Apparently.
impartial, or
Or experienced.
wow.
If she has any self-awareness, she should recuse herself.
Wow. He called her a dumbass.
He called her a dumbass. I mean, I don't know what you think of this whole thing, but it's going to be a shit show.
Oh yeah.
Anything that comes out of this is going to be an explosion.
Yeah.
This is like the oh shit, what was the guy that killed the black dude up in Minnesota? I can't even think of his name now.
Chauvin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin, yeah. What was the black dude's name?
Oh, God. George Foreman.
There-
No.
George Floyd.
Yeah.
George Floyd.
George Foreman's still alive and selling stoves.
Yes. Now, you remember when we said it doesn't matter how this goes.
Yeah.
If he's let off, the left is going to explode. If he is convicted, the right's probably going to explode. This is like 20 million times higher.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
If Trump is convicted, the right is going to freaking storm something.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, and the FBI is licking their chops.
Oh, yeah.
They want it.
If he is acquitted, the left is going to just implode on themselves. Can you imagine Rachel Maddow
Oh my god.
when this all goes down? Is she
Yeah.
still at MSNBC?
Yeah, I think so.
Jen Psaki's at MSNBC now.
Is she really?
I just read that on this article, actually.
that's fucked
That's
up.
the news we should have been
Right?
covering, because Eric Holder told MSNBC host Jen Psaki, "I don't have confidence in her abilities to be fair or to be seen as fair." What is fair or seen as fair in today's government? None of it's
Depends
fair.
on the side you're on, right?
Exactly. Now, on one hand, he's a political freaking prisoner.
Yeah.
I think if he is convicted, it's just going to this indictment alone is just fueling the fucking fire.
Yeah.
Like the people that were like, no, we're kind of over Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Just like Trump's indicted. It's like, I support the shit out of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's like, do you realize what you're doing?
Yeah.
Do you realize you're just making this? Just let him. Can you just let him disappear into the night?
Right. Yeah.
Just let him.
And that's all they. If they just would have left him alone, I'm sure Ron DeSantis would have gotten the nominee or somebody.
Right.
And
Just let
Trump
him
would have
fade
just gone
away.
away. Yeah. But now that they're fueling this, people are starting to think that there's a reason why, right? They're scared of him, right? Q was right. Holy shit.
If they just shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
let him get on his plane and pout all his way back to Mar-a-Lago. Let him just, secretly go get the documents back. That's all you gotta do. Just get the documents back. Tell him
Not make a big deal out of it.
No, come back and be like, just leave that man alone.
Yeah.
You know, remember your mama used to say, ignore them and they'll go away.
Exactly.
This guy does not want to be ignored.
No.
And then he would continue to shoot his mouth off at nothing. If you gave him nothing, he'd continue to shoot his mouth off, and people would be like, do you ever shut up? Do you ever shut the fuck up? They're not doing what you're saying, but now they're doing exactly what he's saying that they were going to do. He's saying, I'm going to be a political prisoner. Remember, he said, predicted it 3 months ago. I'm going to be arrested soon. Charges are coming down. And they're like, oh, God, don't arrest Donald Trump. And then now they've dropped a second set of charges, which could land him in jail for up to 20 years.
Right.
And people are going to, they're just salivating over this, because this is like the freaking second coming is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's got to come with pushback. It's got to come with resistance.
Yeah.
Because if there was no resistance, who fucking cares?
Right. Exactly. And again, that's what the FBI has been, their mouth is watering for it.
Right.
They want it so bad.
They do. And Donald Trump wants it. Donald Trump is probably smiling his stupid shit anger. It's like, I'm going to be the political prisoner.
He's
I said I was
in
going
jail. He's going to have these orange cornrows and a grill. And he's going to be like, this is your State of the Union
He's
address.
going to tattoo a teardrop on his eye. You're like, you know that stands for murder, not stealing classified documents.
He's going to have a couple of his bitches standing behind him.
So, do you think he goes to jail over this?
No. No, I think I think it's political theater.
Oh yeah.
They want to get it out there. They want to taint him. They want it to look like this guy is toxic, that nobody should touch him, and they're trying to overwhelm him so that he can't run for president.
Now, why do you think this man decided to confiscate 13,000 documents? Like, besides the fact that he's a dumbass, is there a possibility maybe? I mean, I gotta play some angle on this besides the
Yeah.
fact that he's just a dumbass.
Yeah.
Could there? I mean, I'm surprised Q hasn't come out and been like,
Right.
well, there's evidence of like swamp issue, like
Right.
pedophilia in the government, like
Right,
all this. He specifically stole
And
these
maybe
ones
he did.
because they point at they
Right.
could convict this person, this person, this person, or is there something in there that he's like, I got to hold on to this because if this gets into the wrong hands,
Right.
the whole world could, the wrong tiny hands, the whole world could melt over this.
And maybe in his mind and his little ego he has, his narcissistic fantasy, that's it. Yes. He feels like there's some kind of nugget in there that he needs to find and hold on to save the world. And that's possible.
Is there a possibility maybe there's something in there that's detrimental to him that he doesn't want to get out to the public?
Also possible, yes.
Like some communication with like Putin or China
Yeah.
or North Korea. I mean, he had love letters to Kim Jong-un. He called
Right.
him. That was his words. Like
Yeah.
his communications between him and Kim Jong-un. He's like, I probably shouldn't let people read I love you, Kim Jong-un, because that would look really bad on me.
Yeah.
People might think something weird's going on there. I promise you 16 nukes if you just say that Donald Trump is the best president in the world.
Yeah, and that he brokered world peace.
Yes. I mean, there could be something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's probably a better chance that he's covering his own ass than there
Yes.
is of something detrimental to something else.
Yes, that's probably true.
Is he keeping them for trophies? I mean, there's always that potential. It's just like,
Yeah. I mean,
It-
again,
maybe all his Twitter posts were in there. Because remember, they got to document every single Twitter post,
right.
like official Twitter post from the president.
That's probably what the majority of it is. The
He's like-
300 are classified, but the rest of it is just Twitter.
He's like,
so-
I gotta remember all these great things I said on Twitter.
Yeah,
That was a
as
a stinger right there. That was a burner. My Twitter got taken down, and I have no backup drive,
Yeah.
so I have to keep these because these were great. That was a great meme.
I'm
Did
gonna
you see
put
that
these in
meme?
my library.
Did you see? That was the biggest meme of all the memes. I'm going to hang that one on my wall. And they're like, we got to get that back. He's like, all those boxes, my Twitter posts are somewhere in there. Let me find those and I'll give them back. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a dumbass.
Yeah.
It's possible that he was that stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, it's his ego trumps any intelligence he has.
Is it possible? There's a possibility also that somebody that whispers in his ears that actually is not necessary, that wants to get him in trouble, is like, no, those are yours. You can take those home. That's fine. Don't let it. They're going to tell you that you can't, but don't listen to them. That is your right as the president to get him to take them home.
That's probably him telling himself that.
Probably. But there's probably somebody there that's like, watch, he's going to take the, I'm going to put this in his ear that he is allowed to take, it's his right to take these home.
Yeah.
And then give it 6 months and go knock on his door and kick his door in. And we got him.
It's probably his wife. You are the motherfucking president and you deserve these.
Yeah. No, I'm just talking like somebody that's in
I know what
with
you're
the FBI
Yeah.
or with the other side. It's like, I can get him.
Yeah.
Just let me
Yeah.
loose.
Watch
I can
this.
don't ask questions. Just wait for my call later and be like, then later it's like, this is just an anonymous tip that there's classified documents at it was probably his valet driver. Probably his fucking valet driver.
Fucking nada.
Yep. That was probably it. There is also a chance all of this could just be like a smokescreen for the Biden investigation that's going on right now.
Fuck yeah.
And we've talked about that. It's like, if you can make what Trump did look super fucking bad, then the shit that Biden did with classified docs doesn't look that bad. And you can be like, well, he didn't have them in the shower.
Yeah.
He didn't show maps to his freaking...
He didn't take it golfing with him.
Yeah. I mean, right now, as we speak, there's a new whistleblower that's come out against Joe Biden,
Yep, I saw that.
saying that not Hunter Biden, because there's all the Hunter Biden shit talking about the big guy, but we can't necessarily say that Biden knew about that. Just because Hunter Biden's name dropping his dad doesn't mean his dad was part of that.
Right.
But this is like specific to Biden having a pay for policy type arrangement with, they just say, a foreign national. But
Sure.
it's not China, is what they
Right.
said. They won't say, they haven't said who it is, but it's not China.
It's got to be
And
Ukraine.
I don't think it was Ukraine. I think it was somebody totally separate from the ones that we know about.
Okay.
But they had to, the problem, the Republicans are worse at this than the Democrats, because the Democrats will be like, his fucking lawyer came out and said this, and the Republicans are like, we got this anonymous whistleblower, we can't tell you who it is. Right. We can't say for his own safety who this is, and everybody's just like, another anonymous whistleblower.
Right. Yeah.
Like, who is this? Is it Rudy?
Yeah. Right.
Is it Rudy again? Was it Donald himself?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
Is it the Geek Squad?
right. It's just like, how many anonymous sources? But this one's supposed to be like a really reliable one, according to the Republicans. So
Sure. But to them, the pillow guy is really reliable.
or what are the Kloskis?
Yeah. Right.
They were reliable too.
Clyde. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. I think there is probably something big, because the Biden thing is ongoing.
Yes.
His document investigation is ongoing. They're looking, like the House is looking to write up impeachment papers at any point
Sure.
on Joe Biden. So if they can get out ahead of it and use Donald Trump's stupidity to blow this up, and even if he gets off with it, they can be like, well, I mean, you said Donald Trump, that wasn't a big deal. So is Uncle Joe's little screw up here, if that's not that big a deal, taking showers with it and having your bathroom, this can't be that bad. So you can't indict him either.
Doing blow on the classified unit.
Right. I don't know. I mean, there's so many possibilities.
Isn't it sad that this is where our government's gone to? Right? I mean, try to indict and impeach each other.
It's a fucking, it's a circus.
It is.
It's a circus. And that's why, like, I would love to see like a Joe Exotic win.
Right.
Just because, I mean,
we might as well jump the shark. Right.
Well, what could be worse?
Right.
I mean, we say that and something could be so much worse, but could Joe Exotic really be worse than the circus that's right in front of us?
No, not at all.
Donald Trump getting indicted for showering with his documents. Joe Biden getting in trouble for having documents parked next to his Corvette.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say none of them are really good at handling classified information.
And again, it goes. I'm sure it goes much deeper. Every president ever has probably done something with classified documents they shouldn't have done.
Oh, they have.
But again, this is the one that they have to make a big deal
Well,
about.
Yeah, because I mean, it's been a witch hunt for going on 8 years now.
Yeah, trying to find something that sticks.
I mean, we've got to land something. This one has to be the one that lands. If this one doesn't land, do they finally give up? Do you think?
No.
You don't.
As long as there's a chance he can run for president, they don't give up.
At some point, people have to be like, "Oh God, are we doing this again?
Yeah.
Oh God, are we bringing up Russiagate again?
Until they get to his name struck from the history books of the presidency, until number 45 has a little asterisk next to it, they're not going to stop.
No, not even an asterisk. There is no 45. It's like the 13th floor.
Yeah, you just don't talk about it. You don't go there.
It's like there's no 13th floor on.
There's no 45th president.
There is no. We want 44 to 46.
Yeah.
People are like, why is there no 45? Then we don't speak about that.
He's like Voldemort.
Yes,
shall not be named.
Yes, there just never was. There never is a 45th president. It's just what there wasn't.
Yeah,
that is a dark time in history we wish not to speak of.
Yeah,
and we just erase everything that happened in there. J6 goes away because there can't be a J6 if there was never a 45th president.
Exactly.
There can't even be. Could there even be COVID-19 if?
Yes.
I mean, well, the thing is, if all this shit that we're going to talk about in the second half about COVID-19's origins is actually real, they got to look back and be like, Oh, we missed that one up. Maybe we should just say COVID-19 never happened too,
Oh,
because then they
possible,
can
man.
forget
Yeah.
how bad we fucked that one up too.
Yeah, they're just gonna try to just start changing history here and there, and then someone would be like, "Wasn't there a pandemic in?" No, there was nothing like that.
We never had a pandemic.
No,
The
never.
last one was back in the 1900s.
Spanish flu.
Yeah, Spanish flu was the last pandemic we ever had, and we have been fighting it since. We had a couple close calls. Remember that one close call in was it 2019 or 2021?
Yeah, right.
Because we just skipped that year altogether.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into break because that's a good place to shift focuses. Final thoughts on the Trump indictment.
It's one of those things where I'm not a fan of Trump at all, right? And I would love to see him just to go away. But at the other part of it, it's like what they're doing is such a crock of shit.
Well, yeah,
that you want to see the whole thing self-destruct and backfire on everybody.
Yeah, that's why I would kind of like to see him convicted, because I would like to see the backfire of that.
I would love to see him convicted and then him win the presidency.
Yes, I would too. That would be
that would
beautiful.
Be poetic justice
that would
right
be
there.
Because isn't the freaking Tiger King guy, isn't he still in prison?
I think so, yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, we could have dual. They could run together.
Yes.
You could have the Tiger King as his VP or vice versa, or remember we talked about co-presidents? Yeah, that would be great. Fantastic. We're going to get into break and we're going to shift focuses when we come back. We're going to talk about this new information that was never even a thought. Yeah, bombshell dropped that the COVID origins may not have been as natural as we would have believed 6 months ago.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Never would have thought about it. We'll be right back in just as soon as I find my freaking button. I don't know where it is. There is no button. Oh, I'm not on my button screen. That's
you're on
why.
the wrong buttons.
We'll be right back after this.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net. We're back.
You are.
Not doing too bad for having nothing where it's supposed to be. I'm just
I think you're winging it pretty good.
I'm like, have to read, queue up a song. Usually I've got on my phone, a stream deck where I can just hit the next song, the next. I'm just literally going file by file. All right, open this. I'm not doing too bad, I don't think. I found that procrastination in my life has actually been more beneficial to me than preparation.
Oh, yeah.
Normally, I found that out, high school, college, it didn't matter. It's the projects that I put off till the absolute last second were
Yeah.
always the ones that I did the best on.
Absolutely.
The ones that I like overthought and like put extra effort,
Mhm.
or like even like with the show, like when I get things done early, what usually happens? Something fucks up.
Yeah, right.
Something's majorly screwed up where, like it almost like derails the entire show.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm like pushing it to the last seconds, like, all right, don't have my stuff together, play. Everything usually goes pretty smoothly, and it works great. This show, I have like very little preparation on, and everything was screwed up. But we're making it through. The second half, I only really have an article. I don't have notes taken because I ran out of time.
Oh,
so
sure.
so we're just gonna talk about it.
Is that the article you sent me?
Yes,
Okay.
this is the coronavirus stuff. So if you missed the first half is completely different from the second half. The first half, we talked about Donald Trump's indictment and what that means for our country. We didn't really talk about what it means.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Well, I mean, it could be a massive, possibly worst case scenario. I mean, civil war, right?
Do you think it does though? Because
No,
they've been
no.
saying that for if this happens, it's going to
I
be
think
civil
they
war.
want
That
it.
happens. That happens. It's just like next time it's going to be civil war.
I think that's what they want. But like I said, I think this is more of a trying to make him look like a piece of shit to the public, and I don't think it's going to matter because his fans are going to be his fans, and his opposers are going to be his opposers, and nothing's going to change no matter what he gets indicted with or what happens.
Right.
As he said, he could go in the middle of the street and kill somebody, and people would still vote for him.
Yes, which people have used those words against him
many times
ever since then.
Yes.
We're shifting courses now. We're talking about this bomb drop.
Yes.
This article here.
Nobody expected this.
Nobody saw this one coming. COVID-19 was created in a Wuhan lab through classified bioweapons program, says U.S. investigators. Now, I don't know about you, but suddenly I don't believe this is true. I've gone the last 3 years. It's 23, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. The last 3 years saying that this is probably what happened.
Yes.
And now that U.S. investigators come out and say this is probably what happened, I'm like, but
That's not what happened.
That's not at all what happened.
Fucking liars.
Or the other option is they're releasing this, and I think we talked about this before. The only way they would release this is to push us to war with China.
Right.
That is the only scenario where this makes sense.
But there's a problem with that, and it's the fact that the United States is heavily involved in this.
But they're not pointing that part. The U.S. investigators aren't saying
that.
that.
Of course not. They wouldn't do that. The guy investigating is not going to point out the fact that he was just there 3 years ago,
exactly.
making sure everything was going good.
Right, exactly. Now, we talked about the China balloons, and apparently just released also this week. I forgot about the article about this. Is apparently China has had a spy network in Cuba for at least since 2019.
Well, they have a spy network here.
Yeah, they have their own like remember we talked, they have like their own police stations for their own Chinese people here. So yeah, that's no surprise, but just releasing it at the same time that this came out, they're like, oh, and also China has spies in Cuba, like right next door to us, guys. The only scenario that makes sense of why they would for so many years say, no, that's false information. No, that's probably not true. No, I mean, it looks like it could be, but the evidence, because remember we saw the bombshell that somebody said potentially it could have leaked here. And then all the news agencies were like, but it still is pretty clear that like the overall evidence still suggests that this came from the wet markets in
the bats.
And or no, back in March, remember they're like, actually, they think it came from coon dogs in China, not bats.
Oh, I didn't hear the coon dogs.
Yeah, coon dogs.
Oh,
I didn't even know that was.
They had coon dogs.
I didn't either. Joseph is here. Joseph says, I feel like people are way too lazy to start a civil war. Joseph,
you're not wrong.
You're not at all wrong.
They'll sit out
keyboard warriors
grilling their hot dogs, being like, yeah, man, I'd totally shoot that asshole.
Do you think people are too lazy to grill their own hot dogs these days?
You're right. They are.
They're like, yeah, I would nuke a bitch. And it's like, no, you wouldn't. You can't even like barely get out of your chair. What are you
they'd
talking?
Sit on their phone with their app, smoking their chicken and being like, okay, that temperature's right. Yeah, I would totally kill that guy.
Yeah, they're like, it's time for civil war.
I'm done.
Not today. Maybe tomorrow. You saw my effort there. You saw my effort.
And that's because I was really angry.
You don't want to see me angry. COVID-19 was created in a Wuhan lab through classified bioweapons program, says U.S. investigators. This is from Zero Hedge. Says researchers in Wuhan, China, working with the Chinese military were genetically manipulating the world's deadliest coronaviruses to create a new mutant virus around the time COVID-19 pandemic began. You remember around the time COVID-19 pandemic began, we said, it kind of looks like they're manipulating viruses to form a new mutant virus for some form of.
And then I believe we did a show about Fauci and talked about the scary similarities between AIDS and
and it's almost like they combined SARS and
Yes,
AIDS and made super AIDS.
Yes.
But they haven't come out and called it super AIDS.
No,
yet.
not
When they
yet.
come out and call it super AIDS, then I will believe
You
it.
better copyright that.
I will. I think that was, yeah. According to the Sunday Times, reviewed hundreds of documents, including previously confidential reports, internal memos, scientific papers, and email correspondence that have been obtained through sources by FOIA or Freedom of Information campaigners in 3 years since the pandemic started.
Do they have that in China?
Well, I think it's information that our government was
Or
probably
that we're
sitting
just
on.
gonna sit on.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
obviously. The Times also interviewed the U.S. State Department investigators, including experts specializing in China, emerging pandemic threats, and biowarfare, who conducted what the outlet describes as the first significant U.S. inquiry into the origins of the COVID-19 outbreak. Why are we just now performing the first significant inquiry into the origins of COVID-19?
That's a great question.
Our new investigation paints the clearest picture yet of what happened in the Wuhan lab. The facility, which had started hunting the origins of SARS in 2003, attracted U.S. government funding through a New York-based charity whose president was a British-born and educated zoologist. America's leading coronavirus scientist shared cutting-edge virus manipulation techniques. So they are forthcoming. You see, they're trying to make the separation here. They're like, back then, they were trying to figure out the origins of SARS, and the U.S. wanted in on that. They're like, yeah, we want to help you with this. But the Institute engaged in increasingly risky experiments on coronaviruses it gathered from bat caves in southern China. Initially, it made its findings public and argued the associated risks were justified because the work might help science develop vaccines. Remember, even Fauci came out and
That
said,
was Fauci's big line. It's
the
worth
risks outweigh the benefits outweigh the risk because of the potential of this. Everything changed in 2016. This is where the separation between the U.S. freaking funding and China, supposedly. This changed in 2016 after researchers discovered a new type of coronavirus in a mine shaft in Mojiang in the Yunnan province, where people had died from symptoms similar to SARS. So all of a sudden they find this super virus where miners just start dying.
Dropping dead.
And then they're like, well, we're just gonna make the we're going dark on this. We're going classified. And the US is like, well, we're in the dark now, guys. We just happened to go in the dark with our funding.
Right.
What, a
Still
year or
intact.
so before? Well, remember, they're like, well, we stopped doing funding gain of function research in 2014, 15.
Well, Obama didn't want them to do it anymore.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
But you can say, can't you say, yes, China went dark and classified their operation. Can't we say the same thing about the people on our side that are funding this? They went dark and classified everything. Can we say China was doing this secretly and not say, well, there's potential that we were also secretly part of this?
Yes, I believe.
Because I know there's a lot of evidence out there now that we did continue to fund this shit. Even after COVID-19 broke out.
Yeah.
That Echo Alliance group, that Peter Daszak, was that his name?
Yeah.
He was still funding the Wuhan lab after the breakout of coronavirus.
Yeah. Apparently he didn't get the memo.
Yeah, right. The Mojang mine shaft Mojang Mineshaft strain, which killed several people, are now recognized as the only members of COVID-19's immediate family known to have been in existence pre-pandemic. So we've said for 3 years now, this jumped off a bat. This jumped off a coon dog. This jumped off of whatever.
Wet markets.
All of a sudden, they're coming out and be like, there is no COVID connection at all, no family member, as they call it, to the actual outbreak COVID besides this one that they were working on.
Mm-hmm.
So what were you talking about for the last 3 fucking years if there is no known relationship?
Right.
They'd be like, well, yeah, they're in animals all the time and they just jump up,
Right.
but we haven't found it.
Right.
So what are you basing it? Because less than 6 months ago, they said the evidence points that this came from natural origin. What fucking evidence? If you're now saying the only member, immediate family member of COVID-19 pre-pandemic is this that they found.
Mm-hmm.
So what evidence were they pointing at before?
Yeah.
They had no family members contacted. It's like it's like the freaking emails. It's like, you are the last living relative of such and such and such. That's what it sounded. But you didn't have that last living relative. So what evidence was pointing at natural origins besides the media just saying, nope, don't look over there. It's fucking natural origins.
Right. No, they were just
they're just fucking blowing smoke up our asses.
Protect their own ass.
But nobody bought it. At least 50% of the freaking country didn't buy it. But it's like, you're wrong. Fake news, banned from Twitter.
I was gonna say, but you
banned
try
from
putting that on
YouTube.
Facebook or Twitter and you get kicked off.
Yeah. I mean, we did several times.
Yes.
It says, after that, the trail of papers started to go dark, said one U.S. investigator. That's exactly when the classified program kicked off. My view is that the reason Mojang was covered up was due to military secrecy related to the Army's pursuit of dual-use capabilities and virological biological weapons and vaccines. According to U.S. investigators, the WIV, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, embarked on a classified program to make the mineshaft viruses more transmissible to humans, maybe with AIDS, maybe not, which they believe led to the creation of COVID-19, which then leaked into the city of Wuhan following a lab accident. It has become increasingly clear that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was involved in the creation, promulgation, and cover-up of the COVID-19 pandemic. What about all the fucking people over here? What about the WHO? What about the NAI or the NIH? Whoever freaking Fauci worked. What about their cover-up of it?
Right.
Because they're all the ones that have been
they're
saying,
all complicit.
don't look at this. Even if they weren't, which they were, complicit in it, they still were like, don't look at this.
How many times did Fauci deny it? Outright deny it under oath.
Well, remember the emails that went out? It's just like, we remember they had all those, we talked a couple weeks ago, all the doctors that signed on this, we need a rush order on this thing for all these doctors to say that this looks exactly like natural origins, leak from animals to man. That's a fucking cover-up. I don't care what way you spin it. That is a cover-up.
Yes. Yes.
It says one who found evidence that researchers working on said experiments were hospitalized in November 2019 with COVID-like symptoms, just 1 month before the West became aware of the pandemic. One of the victims' relatives died as well. We were rock solid confident that this was likely COVID-19 because they were working on advanced coronavirus research in the laboratory. They're trained biologists in their 30s and 40s. 35-year-old scientists don't get very sick with influenza, said an investigator. Meanwhile, a separate analysis revealed that the epicenter of the original COVID-19 outbreak was close to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, not the wet wildlife market as previously thought. Not previously thought.
Previously
and
pushed.
Peddled at us.
Yes.
Information that was peddled to us and said, no, this came from this was the epicenter. The wet markets, guys, the wet markets, the bats, they eat raw bats, the wet markets. This is where it came from. So we have every reason. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, actually, it happened to be closer to the Institute of Virology. It's like shocking. Never would have guessed that.
Right.
That this Institute of Virology that is known to manipulate coronavirus genes and shit just happened to be right next to this wet market where they're like, no, it was obviously that wet market.
Yeah.
Don't look at the freaking lab that sits right next door.
Right. Yeah. There's no connection. No connection.
No, they have a terrible ventilation system, filtering system. They are working on deadly viruses, but there's no connection there, guys. It's got to be the wet markets. I interviewed scientists in Asia who have close relation with the Wuhan Institute of Virology, said one of the investigators, who said they had evidence that the WIV was also working on COVID-19 vaccine before the pandemic. No shit. They told me it's their belief that there was a vaccine research going on in the fall of 2019 pertinent to the COVID-19 vaccination. Rutgers University microbiologist Richard Ebright called the experiments by far the most reckless and dangerous research on coronaviruses, or indeed any viruses, known to have been undertaken at any time in any location. Humanized mouse tests. I didn't get this far. And
wait, what?
This is the next section. I didn't get to this section, apparently. Humanized mouse tests.
Okay.
Professor Ralph Barrick of University of North Carolina is a pioneer in cutting-edge experiments which use a technique to fuse together different pathogens by combining their genes. To test the effects of these chimeric coronaviruses, Barrick created humanized mice which were injected with genes that allowed them to develop lungs and vascular systems similar to those of humans.
That's creepy.
This is a horror story of its own waiting to happen.
Exactly.
Forget the COVID virus. Forget the pandemic.
Human
We're going to
mice.
have human mice,
Yes,
like
they're
the
gonna
micro mice
rise up.
from Mars. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like Ninja Turtle style, but
Yes.
mice?
Yes. Yes.
Maybe that's where Master Splinter came from.
Yes.
I don't know.
It's coming.
Ominously, tools exist for simultaneously modifying the genomes for increased virulence and transmissibility. No kidding. These bioweapons could be targeted to humans, domesticated animals, or crops, causing a devastating impact on human civilization. Meanwhile, by 2012, campaigners and scientists were beginning to push back against gain-of-function research due to its inherent dangers. About 30 labs now are working with live SARS worldwide. The probability of escape, so this is back in 2012, the probability of escape from at least one lab is high, wrote Lynn Klotz, a senior fellow at the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation. Would 1 in 10 escapes lead to a major outbreak or pandemic? 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000? No one knows. But for one of these probabilities, the likelihood weighted number of victims and deaths would be intolerably high. In 2013, WIV researcher Shi Zhengli called Ralph Barrick to ask for his help in growing sufficient quantities of SARS-like viruses found in a cave, SHC-14, in order to conduct testing. Barrick agreed, and the WIV provided him with the genetic sequence for the strain so he could recreate the genes from his spike proteins. Barrick's team inserted the SHC-14 spike gene into a copy of the original SARS virus they created in North Carolina and tested out the new chimeric virus on humanized mice. So not only is this happening in Wuhan,
yes,
but there are people here in North Carolina that are like, yeah, send me your info.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try it on our human mice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, in 2014, Echo Health Alliance was awarded with $3.7 million from the U.S. National Institute of Health, of which over $500,000 went to fund lab equipment purchases at the WIV, and $130,000 went directly towards she and her assistant. So we're paying her bill.
Yes.
Like we're paying her paycheck.
Literally.
Then the Obama administration supposedly banned gain-of-function research, but a loophole allowed the practice to proceed if deemed urgent and safe. Barrick argued just this to the NIH, which granted approval. So, guys, this is I find gain-of-function research to be dangerous, and they're like, but this one's safe, and it's like, oh, okay, you're good.
Yeah, right. And it's so worth it.
And it's worth it. Oh, okay, you're good. Isn't that what they were arguing the whole fucking time?
Yes. Yeah.
The results of Barrick's experiment with the genetic sequence given to him by Shi were published in co-authored research in 2015. The combined SARS-CoV and SHC-14 virus was a potential mass killer It caused severe lung damage in the humanized mice and was resistant to vaccines developed for SARS. The paper acknowledged this might have been an experiment that was too dangerous. It's like, well, hindsight, looking back on this, we said this was safe,
Yeah.
but maybe it wasn't that safe.
Oops.
It might not have been that safe. It caused a big stir. If the virus escaped, nobody could predict the trajectory, warned Simon Wayne Hobson, a virologist at Pasteur Institute in Paris. 2016, Daszak told the New York conference that she was moving close. Daszak isn't a she.
No, it's a he.
He was moving closer and closer to obtaining a virus that could. Oh, she maybe being the person who was
that she
funding,
was. She.
that could really become pathogenic in people. In 2017, she wrote in a paper that her team had sought to create 8 mutant coronaviruses based on strains found in a Shitu cave, 2 of which were found to infect human cells. The research had been carried out in the BSL laboratories, while U.S. BSL-2 laboratory, isn't it 5 that are supposed to be?
Yeah, there's 5 total.
Says while U.S. guidelines for such research require BSL-3 precautions. So they were carrying out, remember we talked about that and all the different
Right, they didn't have the
ventilations and shit.
Proper precautions.
Yeah, which included self-closing doors, filtered air, and scientists equipped with full PPE while under medical supervision. It goes on to say, enter the smoking gun. So this is where it gets interesting. As she was creating her 8 mutant viruses, the WIV took another perilous leap forward with their work on the Shitu cave virus in what Ebright describes as the most dangerous coronavirus experiment ever undertaken, which was funded in part by EcoHealth's grant money. Scientists selected 3 lab-grown mutant viruses created by mixing SARS-like viruses with WIV1, which had all been shown to infect human cells. These mutants were injected into the noses of albino mice with human lungs. That's so fucking creepy.
That's super.
The aim was to see whether the viruses had the potential to spark a pandemic if they were fused together, as they might do naturally in a bat colony. The original WIV1 virus was injected into another group of mice as comparison. The mice were monitored in their cages for over 2 weeks. The results were shocking. The mutant virus that fused WIV1 with SHC14 killed 75% of the rodents and was 3 times as lethal as the original WIV1. In the early days of the infection, the mice's human-like lungs were found to contain a viral load of up to 10,000 times greater than the original virus. The scientists had created a highly infectious super coronavirus with a terrifying kill rate that in all probability would have emerged in nature. With all probability, would have never emerged in nature. The new genetically modified virus was not COVID-19, but it might have been more deadly if it had leaked. Well, that's fucking fantastic.
Right. They still have that.
In April 2018 annual progress report, the WIV EcoHealth's Peter Daszak admitted the mice deaths. He also omitted the mice deaths. He also failed to mention them in his grant renewal application filed with the NIH later that year. In fact, he said they had only one experienced mild SARS-like clinical signs.
Damn.
That guy should be in fucking jail.
Yeah, he should.
That guy should be locked up for his blatant, obvious responsibility.
Cover-up.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was clearly responsible to some extent for this,
Right.
and he omitted that they were even doing this. He omitted that they had found viruses that could do this, and then for the last 3 years, it's just been like, oh no, this has just all been a joke.
None of them seem to be really effective.
So Daszak lied, as the experiment had actually killed 6 of the 8 infected humanized mice. Daszak eventually came clean, but says his statement about mild illness was based on preliminary results, despite the fact that the mice had died months before he issued the statement.
I mean, when they first got injected with it, they were okay for 5 minutes.
Yeah, they got sick, but it wasn't that bad.
And then they died.
Well, let's just omit the part that they died.
Right.
As the global lockdowns were coming to an end, the U.S. State Department was given access to secret intelligence on China's coronavirus experiments in the months and years before COVID-19. Over a dozen investigators given unparalleled access to the metadata, phone information, and internet information from U.S. intelligence intercepts published a report early in 2021, which made two assertions that the WIV was experimenting on a strain, RATG13, found in Moijiang mine, and that the covert military research, including experiments performed on animal test subjects, was being conducted right before the pandemic. They were working with 9 different COVID viruses or variants, said one of the investigators. Maybe that's why we had so many variants over the last. Maybe they're just like, I'll just release a couple more. Adding that they think one virus at the WIV was an even closer match to COVID-19 than the RATG13. We are confident they were working on a closer unpublished variant, possibly collected in Moijiang. And of course, others believe COVID-19 was largely a U.S. production. Jeez. I don't know. Says either way, there you have it. Apologies from MSM. Fact checkers, social media companies, and the Biden administration can be submitted to Tyler@zerohedge.com. They're not going to apologize. They're going to be like, well, we never would have seen that coming.
Right.
We never knew. Like, how would we know that China was doing this and our own people were funding it? Like, we were still funding Echo Health Alliance, but we weren't told that Echo Health Alliance was still funding China. And we had no way of knowing that China was manipulating bat viruses.
Yeah, and they'll be like, but we made sure that all that is closed down at that particular laboratory.
Yeah, and the WHO is still like, working on it. Well, they're for the last couple of years, WHO is like, well, they're not playing ball, so we just should probably walk away from this one because because they're not giving us the answer. So
and they do fund us more than you guys.
It's true. So why do you think this is coming out now? Do you think this is new news that they're just waiting for hard evidence from this investigation? Because it sounds like this is probably shit that we knew.
The thing is, like, if I felt like they were trying to build a case against China, I feel like this would be everywhere, right? I mean, wouldn't it be all over the mainstream news?
Well, when did this article come out? This came out. Hang on, I got to get back to the top. This was a long article. This came out yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
So maybe
it's just
new news.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like if they're trying to build a case against China, I mean, it would be all over the place. You know, new evidence suggests China was experimenting on dangerous coronaviruses.
Well, I feel like they have to play it kind of safe. Because of how much shit they gave us for it for the last 3 years, to flip on that on the dime, the way people are just waiting to pounce on that shit now, they got to kind of like, they can't just be like, actually, they can't say you were right, first of all. That wouldn't be possible. They can't say, all you crazy conspiracy theorists, like 50% of the population, you were right. They can't say that.
Right.
So they got to
sorry we censored you.
They got to figure out a way to word it and sound like they were right, but they were just misled.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe that's like new evidence is coming out, and then a couple of days later, new further evidence, it's a leak almost.
Baby steps.
Yeah, like it's information that's leaking over time. It's just like, oh God, they misled all of us. They lied to all of us, and we all bought it. And it's like, but we didn't. We've been saying this since literally day one.
Right.
That this looks pretty intentional.
Yeah. And God help, Trump calling it the China virus.
I know. Are we allowed to call it the China virus now?
Fuck yeah, we are.
Are we allowed to call it Wuhan flu?
Yes,
or Kung Flu?
I think so. Yes.
Is any of that allowed? Are we going to get censored?
I don't know. Let's throw it out on Facebook, see what happens.
I know. We'll probably get kicked off YouTube for just reading that article because they still have their old fact checker system in place. They're like, they're talking about lab leaks. We got to censor that.
This isn't verified yet.
But it all but verified.
Right. Yeah.
What? Yeah. Who do you think do you think that China was doing this without Echo Health's knowledge? Obviously, Peter Daszak was omitting a lot of evidence.
Oh, yeah, right.
A lot of evidence that the gain of function research. Do you think it stops at Peter Daszak? Because he's become the fucking fall guy.
He has,
for Yeah, and that's probably why the what was it, NAID or whatever?
Yeah, NIHD.
Yeah, that's probably why fucking Fauci's organization set it up through that so they
Yeah.
could have that.
Oh, I guarantee Fauci knew. He had
Oh,
to
he
have.
did,
Yeah,
but they couldn't just they if they had funded directly to China,
right.
it would have fallen back directly on the US government.
Right, that's correct.
Now they have a freaking it's the same with all the freaking NGOs out
Yeah.
there. It's just like, well, we're just gonna claim that we didn't know it.
Right,
Plausible deniability.
Yep,
And
exactly.
you will be the cutoff man.
Yeah.
You will be the scapegoat.
Yeah,
You will be the place where the ball stops here. It's just like,
right.
we had no idea that Echo Health Alliance was ever
Yeah.
doing this. I mean, it just goes to show what NGOs are capable of without without government oversight.
Right. Yeah. Without that, not giving us the full information, how were we supposed to know?
It's all freaking Peter Daszak. He knew he was the mastermind this whole
Yeah,
time.
Right.
And he would have got away with it if it wasn't for these meddling kids.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like inching towards truth a bit.
I mean, a bit, but where does it go? know?
Nowhere. It dies
Yeah.
at Peter Daszak. It will.
It will. Yes, like you said, he's the fall guy.
Nobody will implicate Fauci. Fauci fucking sat there with
Oh,
Rand
yeah.
Paul so
With
many
the-
times. It
yep.
was like,
No,
no,
sir.
no, none of this happened.
Yeah.
There was no gain of
The
function
fucking
research.
shit-eating grin behind his 3 masks.
Right. So it's like he can like literally just sit there and freaking blatantly lie about this shit. Nobody's gonna do a damn thing
Yeah.
because, well, he also saved us from the pandemic, remember?
Right, and AIDS.
And AIDS. I mean, all
Yeah.
you people out there that got AIDS, do you feel saved by Anthony Fauci?
Right.
I thought I had one more thing about some documents that were kind of
Okay.
an email freaking chain that was kind of admitting to some of this like way back.
Okay.
I got to get my freaking Facebook to pop up though, because that's where I saved it. But
Does COVID
talk about it.
Well, first of all, I mean, does this blow back on to China?
I mean,
Does any of it come back on China, or does any of it come back to the United States? I mean, who gets the blame for this at the end of the day?
China will take a big part of the blame because China's getting blamed for everything. Like,
Right.
I mean, they're really ramping up towards something with China.
Right.
I don't know if you saw last week, like a Chinese destroyer almost collided with a U.S.
did see that,
destroyer or
yeah.
something. China's now got its spy base in Cuba.
Right.
We
Yeah.
can't forget the Chinese balloons because that was a big deal.
Yeah. So they're becoming Russia quickly.
Very quickly because Russia's not really
Russia.
anymore. Let's see if I can find the freaking. I thought I saved an article.
So, and do you think there will be any
Website.
hearings against Echo Health, or
I feel like, well, yeah, there will be against Echo Health, but I feel like if Rand Paul is who we all love and think Rand Paul is,
Mhm.
he's got to step up and be like, all right, we need to bring this.
Yeah.
We need to open this up again. All right, here it was. This is from Committee on Oversight and Accountability. So this is oversight.house.gov. So it's probably not real. But it says some subcommittee chairman, the select subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic, Chairman Brad Wenstrup from Ohio, reveals that the NIH biosafety and concern. So they were concerned about the Wuhan Institute of Virology like a long time ago, but just nothing happened. So for the NIH to say they didn't know anything about it, they voiced concerns about this long before and then covered up, even though they had their concerns about the biosafety of this.
Right.
Then for 3 years said, no, there's no reason to believe. Let me just read a little bit of this. This is probably long, so I can't get into all of it. It says select subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic, Chairman Brad Wenstrup of Ohio is calling on the National Institute of Health to explain its letter to the University of California, Irvine, in which the NIH suspended all subgrant funds previously allocated to Wuhan Institute of Virology under claims that the WIV has been conducting research at its facilities in China that pose serious biosafety concerns. This letter was typed in 2020,
Hmm.
not before back in 2014 when they supposedly stopped funding.
Right.
The May 2020 letter is another acknowledgement by the NIH that risky research and lackluster biosafety were determining factors in revoking U.S. taxpayer funding from the Wuhan lab. The NIH failed to share these concerns with the American people. Chairman Wenstrup is requesting all documents and communications related to the May 2020 letter that support the NIH's assertion of biosafety concerns at the WIV. According to documents in possession of the Select Committee on May 20th, 2020, the NIH wrote to Irvine notifying it that NIH was suspending all activities for which the Wuhan Institute of Virology is subaward participant. In 2020, in May, after the coronavirus already leaked out,
Right.
when supposedly they weren't funding them
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
In 2020, they're like, yeah, we should probably stop doing this because we have safety concerns.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, a fucking virus already leaked and is spread across the world.
Right. Yeah.
Now you have safety concerns?
Yeah.
Goes on to say, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Says, according to the letter, the NIH had been made aware of reports that the WIV had been conducting a research at its facilities in China that posed serious biosafety concerns, and as a result, health and welfare threats to public, both in China and other countries, including the United States. The NIH continued, it is the NIH mission to protect public health and welfare from a serious deficiencies such as unsafe laboratory practices. So they waited till after a pandemic was released on society.
we have some concerns.
Yes. Yeah, we all do. We all have these concerns. Yes. As mounting declassified intelligence and scientific evidence support COVID-19 likely originated at the WIV, a further investigation into how and why this occurred is an essential step towards preventing a future pandemic and holding those responsible for the outbreak of COVID-19 accountable. How about the NIH themselves? Right. How about Anthony Fauci? How about Peter Daszak? Let's hold them all fucking accountable.
Yeah.
How about everybody that in the media that covered this story up?
Yes.
For the last 3 years. Why don't we hold them accountable?
Absolutely.
How are we preventing the next pandemic by covering up, blatantly covering up and squashing any question of the actual origins of a pandemic?
Right.
How are, we got to hold the people accountable who are responsible.
Yeah. Fucking YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah. All of them.
All of them.
Fuck them all.
Blocked any kind of differentiating story to what the narrative they were trying to push.
The Select Subcommittee is greatly concerned that the NIH used taxpayer dollars to knowingly fund dangerous and potentially dangerous research in China. The NIH hid the truth about its role in the COVID-19 pandemic when in private discussion it acknowledged that WIV posed a biosafety concern, but promoted a different narrative publicly. The Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic is investigating the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, that's why they're the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus. You didn't have to tell us that. Pursuant to that investigation, we are evaluating the National Institute of Health, NIH, interactions with the Wuhan Institution of Virology, including its funneling of taxpayer dollars to the WIV through U.S.-based institutions without proper oversight. So this subcommittee isn't stopping the ball at Echo Health Alliance. They're specifically saying,
right,
the NIH funneled their money through U.S.-based institutions such as Echo Health Alliance and knowingly funded dangerous research.
Which sounds very accurate.
The Select Subcommittee is now the only committee in Congress with explicit jurisdiction to conduct this wide-ranging and important investigation, continued Wenstrup. Read his letter to the NIH here and the NIH's letter to Irvine here. So you got all the documents there. So for them to come out and say, yeah, we didn't know anything about this, but May 2020, right after shutdowns, right about the time of shutdowns, right before we started this fucking show, they're like, we should probably stop funding this because it's potentially dangerous.
Right.
Now that there's a pandemic outbreak.
Right.
But we had no idea that it already happened. But there's evidence to show and
Yeah,
we should
that-
probably stop funding us.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to quietly cut ties with
I think
them
so too.
as people
Right.
started asking questions. It's like, hey, media, can you say this was natural origins at least long enough for us to cut ties
Right,
with
exactly,
this?
and get all our shit shredded,
And
and out
then
of
they
there.
could go back and be like, look, we cut ties with them.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
we knew it wasn't
wait,
safe.
does that date say May 2020?
Yeah, right. Isn't that after the pandemic was released?
But
yeah, well, we started the
we
process before.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Does this go like the Donald Trump indictment? Does this go anywhere?
No, it doesn't, because nobody's paying attention anymore.
Maybe the Trump indictment was a way to make a bunch of noise while they quietly release this
That's
information.
possible.
So after the trial of the century, the new trial
Yeah.
of the century, they can be like, "Oh, you guys didn't we released that 6
Right.
months ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you
we
didn't see
told you that."
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did. We had our own trial for Peter Daszak.
Yeah, and he's living in a cushy
Yeah, right.
detention
Country club
center.
for
Yeah.
the next 6 months.
Right. But we took care of it. All the people implicated are behind bars.
Mhm.
Everything's fine. And Donald Trump got indicted. You got to be happy there,
Yeah,
right?
right. That's one for the good guys. Woo.
Yeah. I mean, this was just a minor news compared to Donald Trump got indicted, guys.
Yeah,
and everybody's like, ooh, Donald Trump, or, oh, shit, Donald Trump. I mean, that's all anybody's going to pay attention to.
No, you're right. You're right.
That's why this probably isn't so big in the news. It's like, well, let's release this big nugget here and then just quietly slip this into the media that, hey, you guys were fucking right.
Yeah.
And we knew it the whole time.
Yeah.
But we covered it up for the last 3 years.
How many more of these little nuggets are out there that are going to come loose?
Like I said, I think that it'll be like, oh, just leaked more further information that we had 3 years ago, but we are just leaking it to you.
Yeah.
I think that it will be a slow, steady thing. And until they find the need or feel like they are capable of actually attacking or going to war with China,
Mhm.
and then it'll just be like, boom, the big hammer fucking drops.
Yeah.
I feel like this should be a pretty big fucking
this
hammer.
should be on fucking page 1.
I would
man,
think
in
so.
bold type.
Joseph says COVID is old news these days. Nobody is paying attention. Well, yeah, COVID is old news.
Yeah.
But it's pretty big news to say, oh, yeah, this was intentionally made.
I mean, even on the beaches.
As possibly a bioweapon.
Right. Even on the beaches in Alabama, they still say, make sure you maintain 6 feet
There's
for
still,
COVID.
Where was I? There were still dots on the floor 6 feet apart. They still had a sign that said, where the fuck was I? I can't remember.
I mean, there's still people wearing masks all over the place.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the freaking science that we're supposed to trust came out and was like, that probably didn't do jack shit. It was
But
probably
nobody saw
worse
that.
for you
Yeah, right,
than it
right.
was better for you.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, we got to put on our masks.
Yeah.
We're conditioned, guys. We're conditioned to wear our masks.
But, between all this shit with COVID and all the shit with Trump, I mean, you can't trust the medical institutions, right? The medical wing of anything. You can't trust the Justice League, the Department of Justice,
right?
Institute, because you look at just the way they're fucking over Trump just to keep him out of the election,
right? And we looking at the science says this,
right?
For the last 3 years was just a blatant cover up,
right? And they discredited anybody who asked any questions,
yeah,
right? Anybody who said, "Well, that doesn't seem right." Well, this person, you can no longer get a hold of their Google page.
Does the skeptic in you believe that this probably isn't the true story too? Now that they came out,
Well,
and
yeah,
said
of course. Well, anytime that they release anything that they admit to, it's hard to accept it as truth.
Yeah, it's like, why? What's
right.
your ulterior motive here?
What's the other shoe gonna drop?
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, we only did this to protect you from yourselves.
Right. Yeah, we're trying to protect democracy.
But they wanted to impeach Donald Trump for downplaying coronavirus to keep people from panicking.
Yeah.
For withholding information. That's what they've been doing for the last 3 fucking years.
Absolutely. Right.
So who gets fired? Who gets thrown in jail? Who gets like?
Well, they're hoping Trump.
Trump. It's all Trump's fault.
Right.
Trump was the one that covered this up. Trump's the one that appointed Anthony Fauci as the czar of
Trump
pandemics.
lied, people died. Right.
Exactly. I forgot about that line. Who's going to jail? You think? Do you think anybody's going to jail? You think Daszak's got to go to jail?
Yeah, Desic will, but it'll, like I said, it'll be a cushy country club.
You think
Maybe a little beeper on his ankle, you know.
Do you think it goes past that? Do you think the Republicans might push past that?
I mean, Rand Paul probably will, but I think his Republican buddies will be like, you know what?
We
got
knew
our
about this.
scapegoat,
We
you know?
knew about this, so we should probably be quiet.
Yeah, right. We don't want to push this too far.
Yeah, we're kind of implicit in this too.
Right. Yeah. Because think about what a great weapon that would be against China if we could spin it the right way.
Maybe China stopped allowing them in on it, and that's when they're like, let's go after China. Because
you might be right about it. Maybe China's like, look, we don't really feel comfortable doing business with you. And they're like, fucking China.
It's like, you know what? We're going to keep this super virus to ourselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, it wasn't that good. And you guys kind of blamed
right.
Trump kind of blamed us. So we're just going to go dark on this.
I mean, the China flu, the Kung flu, that kind of hurt.
Yeah, that hurt our feelings. Like, can we just we're gonna sever ties with you? This business relationship's over. And they're like, hey guys, China created the super virus.
Yeah.
Like,
you
damn
assholes. Nobody likes you guys anymore.
That is most likely what
That's
happened.
probably exactly what happened.
When is our next pandemic that they keep warning us of?
I give it I give it a couple years.
You think so?
Yeah.
People can't handle 2 pandemics in one
no
century or half a decade.
They gotta wait till after the presidential election.
Or right before it, depending on how well Trump's doing in the polls.
That's true, because they might have to go back to mail-in votes.
I mean, that is true too.
Yeah.
And anthrax.
Yes. There you go.
You got any final thoughts on either one of these? 'Cause, I mean, short was 2
hours. They both suck, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, they both just makes you look at the whole thing and just be like, fuck you.
Did you think when we started the show in 2020 that we would still be talking about COVID and Donald Trump in 2023?
No.
The same shit that we were talking about in 2020.
Right.
We're still talking about that same stuff.
Except for we were completely right about COVID.
We were.
Right.
Supposedly now I'm questioning if we were or not.
Right. And
it's all everything. There's no truth.
No feelings have changed about Trump.
Not really.
Yeah.
He's an idiot. He's a dumbass. And he probably didn't do everything they said, but he probably did do a bunch of stupid shit
that we don't know about.
And he probably shouldn't be president, but he probably will be president because that's just the cards we get dealt.
Yeah.
Maybe we need another pandemic.
Yeah. We can't get
China, what are you doing right now?
Yeah. What are you working on? Fauci's gone. Who's the new Fauci guy?
I don't know. Who's running? Who took? I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, look it up.
Who took Fauci's? Why is there not a pop-up of that? Like, you'd think that would automatically populate. Who took Fauci's job? When Fauci retired at the end of last year, the director's lab coat and all the political heat that goes with it went to Auchincloss as he became the agency's acting head. Who is
Auchincloss?
He's 73, a respected transplant surgeon and medical researcher, served more than 16 years as Fauci's low-key right-hand man at the NIAID and a post he took after a long career at Massachusetts General Hospital. His name is, let's see, Dr. Hugh Auchincloss. That's who he is.
All right.
Apparently, there's not much known about him. In fact, you can't find more than like one photo about him. It says, Dr. What did I say his first name was?
Hugh
Auchincloss.
Who
is this man? Acting director of NIAID. Hugh Auchincloss, immunologist. I thought he was a surgeon.
He was a transplant surgeon.
He's a transplant surgeon. He's an American immunologist and physician serving as the acting director of the NIAID. Previously served as the principal deputy director between 2006 and 2022. He previously was a transplant surgeon and professor of surgery at Harvard and researched at Massachusetts General Hospital for 17 years. So how does that make him a virologist? I don't know. He sounds like a company man. Obviously, he's
right.
It's like Fauci. Remember, we're like, what is Fauci? Fauci's been in that role for what, 27 years, 30 some years. It's like, what made him?
Right. Yeah. He came out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's just like, what made him?
He was another one of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we have this transplant surgeon that all of a sudden becomes a virologist that is now in charge of the NIAID, who will be in charge of the next pandemic,
Yes.
obviously. So my prediction, this is Joseph, my prediction is that the next pandemic is going to be when we need to raise the debt ceiling again. We just raised it like 5 minutes ago. Literally just raised it. So we need a reason to tank the economy again.
Yep. Yeah. So what we said by 2025, the United States would be on its way down more than it
already is. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's got to be completely done by 2030.
Well, it comes in waves. We got to have a financial crisis.
Yeah.
We got to kind of recover from the financial crisis. We got to have a war, which we're kind of in the middle of both of those.
Yeah, I
right
think
now.
we're building up
mixed with financial crisis.
The
war has to bounce us back from the financial crisis because that's what wars do. Then comes the inevitable pandemic. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yes. So look for the economic fit drop,
which is what we're
already on the way down.
Yeah.
And then the war will bring
with
us
China.
back.
The war with China.
Yes. War with China.
Because it's kind of like, you know how technology advances like at a curve, like our window of that cycle is shrinking. It used to be like decades apart, like the Roaring 20s.
Yeah.
That turned into, well, there's like the Great Depression, then like decades later was World War II, or a decade later that kind of pulled us from that. And then I don't know, but it was like by decade pretty much.
Yeah. Because
and then there was freaking War on Terror, and then the 2008 crisis, which was like 5 years apart. And now we have COVID mixed with like that threw us into economic crisis that at the tail skirts of a war with either Russia or China or everyone. Who knows? So I mean, we're down to like a three-year window now.
Definitely say look for war next.
It's coming.
That's next.
Yeah, it's coming, and then maybe pandemic with war. Can you imagine that pandemic with a world war? That'd be devastating.
That would suck.
But it might be what they need.
That might be.
I don't know. Super villains. They're all fucking super villains, and Donald Trump's probably one of them. He probably should be behind bars. Who fucking knows? That's all I got.
It's funny because in movies, the supervillain always has like this big ego and like gives a big speech about how smart they are about everything, and
like
you always
Trump?
think. Yes, I was just thinking, and people were like, "Oh, that's a movie trope," but then that's Trump.
That is Donald Trump.
That's what Trump does.
Yeah, I don't know, but he's the hero though. He's the Lord and Savior, Donald Trump.
They're all heroes and villains, depending on what side you're on.
Can I be on either side?
Well, and that's the way I'm at, man. I'm like, just blow it up, man. Just turn it over and start over again.
Burn it the fuck down.
Just throw the game board on the floor and start over.
Yes, burn it the hell down. That's it.
That's the only solution.
I don't know. I don't care if Trump goes to jail. I really don't.
Yeah, I know.
And honestly, I'm to the point I don't care what comes of this freaking China, because only bad shit's gonna happen from this now.
Right.
Because it's going to, the only thing that they will turn this into is a war with China. We don't want a fucking war with China, just like we don't want a war with Russia. We just don't want war. So why they come out with that now is only for like bad scenarios.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, well, we've come to the conclusion. It's like, I don't care now.
Yeah.
You should have said that back then when we could have like pinned it down and been like, all right, let's, I mean, this could have helped us prevent some stuff by knowing where this came from, and knowing that they were already working on a fucking vaccine, but we were too somehow. Yeah. That's another thing. God, so many things.
There's a lot of things.
Like apparently we were working on this fucking vaccine for 10 years because we knew something like this was coming, but there was no known family member of COVID-19 that we could have ever fucking worked on a vaccine with besides there in the Wuhan lab.
Right.
So
with the humanized
shouldn't
mice.
that raise more concerns that how did we fucking come up with this vaccine in 6 months if there was nothing that we could have really.
Well, that was one of the questions that people were asking. It's like,
but they were like, well, this is very similar to all these other ones that were working, but now they're coming out
for years.
Now they're coming out and they're like, there's nothing known to this mutant super virus.
Yeah.
So how are we working on it unless we're directly
involved? Exactly.
So
which
many questions.
Means that Pfizer, Moderna, and
should be implicit
Johnson & Johnson were all probably involved in it too.
Yes, absolutely. So all that to say, it doesn't fucking matter now. We should have known 3 years ago. Doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
Joseph says that's 3 of the 4 horses, right? War, death, and pestilence.
Yeah. So I
Damn.
guess famine's coming up next.
Actually, we're about to see a lot of famine too. Yes.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Yes.
Well, I thought when eggs were at $6 a carton, we were going to see a lot more famine.
I mean, it hasn't really fucking rained in
I know.
this year.
Right. Yeah. Barely rained.
How's your grass look?
Oh,
Mine's
shit.
pretty dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
brown.
coming.
Yeah.
I mean, man-made famine too. I mean, look at what they're trying to do to farms.
Right. Yeah.
Like cut off the farm supply. I mean, it's.
But
coming.
you know who's on that? Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. Yes, we got that to look forward to. That's all we got. I keep saying that. That's all I got. We got to get out of here. It is late. Thank you for those who stopped by on this late edition of this show and experiencing all our screw ups together with us. I'm glad to be back.
Me too.
I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to be back
Me
doing
too.
this thing that we love doing so much. If you're listening in the future, come hang out with us live sometime.
Come talk to us.
Typically Monday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I used to say every Monday night, but it's kind of up in the air lately.
Yeah.
Yes. Keep moving that mic and it's really fucking loud.
Oh, sorry.
Monday nights, unless we specify otherwise, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, unless we specify otherwise. Come and hang out live with us. Participate in the comments. We interact. We like to interact with you. We like to get your feedback.
Yes.
Some maybe insight that we don't have. Maybe impart some of our knowledge and wisdom on you, which is very, very small, limited. So come hang out with us. Otherwise, check us out all over the social medias. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and others at the handle at Break the Bell Pod. We've got the Facebook forum, which is where you can kind of hang out without your friends knowing that you're batshit crazy like us. Or you can hang out on Twitter with me, which is where I like people to know that I'm batshit crazy. If you like that too, again, the handle is at Break the Bell Pod. Follow us, share us with your family members and your friends and everybody else so we can keep this thing going bigger and better. Yes. We clearly like to talk about the things that make us pissed off and
might piss you off too.
We like to piss ourselves off, apparently.
Yes. Yeah.
Have a great rest of your week. We will catch you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.